So are pawpaw trees easier to transplant when they are small seedlings? That's seems to be a debate, because a few days ago I was looking on YouTube and I found one, maybe two videos where a nurseryman or whatever that propagated his own pawpaws for his nursery to sell said in order to achieve maximum success, you need to get the smallest pawpaw tree possible, planted in the ground. Obviously said put it in full sun, but put a shade cloth over it, which, that's kind of common knowledge because they produce better, they're more productive, more vibrant and stuff in most cases in full sun once they've had that protection for a couple of years. So I'll tell you about my experiences with planting the smallest of the pawpaw trees, seedlings, grafted ones, and everything. First of all, I've had ones in these air printing containers from nursery shipped, both seedlings and grafted ones. I'm talking about probably 75 in 2 or 3 years time that I've experimented with, planted in every possible place. I've planted these things, the shadiest of the shadiest, the dappled sun, the the wettest part, the driest part of the yard, and everywhere in between. Out of those 75 or so plants, 0 are surviving. They all died. So I've had 0% success with that. And pawpaws are known to be hard to transplant. And most sellers, people that just have seedlings or they go get them from the mountains or whatever, they're shipping them bare root. But some of them ship them in these little air printing containers. And that's not much better in Florida. The climate, the soil, something must be different here that makes the smaller ones just not take off versus like maybe North Carolina or more northerly states than that. And here's one that I have had success with. This is an air printing container too, but it's double the size. Kind of look at it there. So you might get a slightly taller tree, but you get double the room for tap roots, hair roots, and stuff. And these specifically that I've had from these big air printing containers is from Stark Brothers Nursery. And I think I've bought 4 from them over the years, maybe more than that. 5, I want to say 5. Okay, so it's important. This is what's important from what I've found out. When you have them in a container, you want the roots and the soil to be pretty much stuck together. And I'm not talking about root bound. I'm just talking about just enough so that if you poured the pot like that and all the sand and dirt separates from the roots, that, in my experience, says this has a high likelihood of failure. It may not be people's experience up north. It's my personal experience. But when that soil and the roots are somewhat, held together, and when you put that in the ground, I've had pretty much close to 100% success rate doing that. And I'm going to go ahead and say Stark Brothers did a good job, or, at least the ones I got, because I'm calling them out because some of the other well-known nurseries send them in this, and I've got a bunch of these with like a 3 or 6 inch little thing and a little tiny graft down here that may or may not be dead, before it even comes to your house. Stark Brothers might be a little more expensive for a single one, but if you buy 2, 3, 5 of these and you spend, you know, $70, $100, $200, whatever after shipping, you're going to be wishing you would have bought 2 of these or 3 of these, you know. But like I said, I bought 5 of them. One of them failed, and you want to try as hard as you can when you transplant these to not lose any of that soil. Get it out of there, be very gentle with it, because it's not going to be root bound. It's going to be somewhat loose, but it needs to hold that dirt in the roots. Once you get it, you know, easily into that hole, and you know, then you're fairly safe. I mean, I can't promise you, but that's my experience. So yeah, do Paw Paws do better small? And you know, there's probably just as many sources that say that bigger Paw Paws transplant better, and that's just a few days after watching those videos. I read another article that said smaller ones aren't easy. You know, bigger ones, you know, have a higher success rate. I did have one guy that was selling Tennessee mountain seedlings, bare root, and I asked him, I said, what do the roots look like? My experience was bare root is bad on Paw Paws. He said, I have the best seedlings, the best roots, and, you know, I took a chance, and it seemed like he was a little arrogant, but, you know, this is one of the Tennessee seedlings. I think I did 2 orders for him. The first one, I have a 15+ foot tree. Most of these were sold as like 2.5 to 3 foot. This guy hasn't grown a lot. It's still alive though, and it's grown a little bit. You know, it might have had some die back initially right there, and then kind of came back, and everything's good. I got another one, you know, about 50 feet away that's like 4 or 5 foot tall, and another one that's like 4 or 5 foot, and another one that's doing okay. So that specific seller that meticulously got his plants, massaged them out of the ground, kept these hair roots, these tiny hair roots. This seems to be like the biggest thing with Paw Paws. A lot of times you get them, they got a tap root and 1 hair root or 0 hair roots, and I don't think there are a whole lot of hair roots on them. But when you get those hair roots all intact, all, you know, mostly undisturbed, it seems like that's what actually gives you a higher success rate, at least here in Florida. You know, like I said, I'm not calling anybody a liar, because if it's a nursery and they're having successes doing it their way, and their clients are planting their seedlings in the ground in, you know, North Carolina or wherever, and they're having successes like that, then that's good. Another thing that people that grow these talk about is, you know, just plant the seed and, you know, where you want it to grow. That doesn't work here in this like north central Florida, because we don't get enough chill hours. So you'd have to refrigerate the seeds to cold stratify them and stuff, and then maybe you can plant them in the ground or wherever you want them to come up, and then you can either use the seedlings or graft onto them once they're established. But yeah, that's just my experience. These things, nope, don't waste your money on them. If you want, you know, most like I said, most sellers, most people that just get seedlings and stuff, they're just sending them bare root, and they're pretty much on their way out before you get them. And most nurseries seem to do that same thing as well, but Stark Brothers seems to be good at it. And I wish I would have kept the seller's contact information that were selling the Tennessee mountain seedlings, because They're really the only bare root paw paws that I've had success with, and a pretty good success rate too. But that's about it.